leave. I think next week I'll be going on my multi-million-dollar vacation to Marx's Vineyard, where the Obama family is trying to enjoy their vacation. Quit bothering them. Leave them alone. They've been on the job for 6 months, and they're tired. They need to have a vacation, okay? That's the American way. By the way, Jason Marsh is with us. Jason, in Europe, you get vacations about every 6 months, so is Obama already prescribing himself to that particular doctrine? Maybe we'll all get vacations every 4 to 6 months.
Every 4 to 6 months, my goodness, my wife and I had it about every 6 weeks. That was one of the great things. As long as we didn't have to live there permanently and pay into that system, it seemed like we were always on vacation. And the French, when we were there, rioted because, they had their 32-hour work week and unemployment was sky high, and they were proposing a very small change to their labor laws that would allow employers, imagine this, to be able to fire an employee during the first 2 years of their employment. And the streets lit up, and there were riots, and my goodness, the French didn't want that, but one of those net results, unintended consequences.
Yeah, and organized riots, I'm sure, actually. We know how that works. Well, we work here in America. We were being called lazy and fat all these years, and I guess even being lazy and fat, we managed to work 60-hour a week, and there's no more overtime for people. They found a way to cut that by using and implementing part-time workers, and I guess we could learn some lessons from Europe, but most of them I'm not going to endorse those. Now, your book again, Surviving Euphoria, which is such a great title that I have to read this. You mentioned rationing of health care. Did you know that's another Nazi slogan, that you're a Nazi, that you're delusional and should be locked into some kind of a psychiatric gulag here for even mentioning this? It's not true, they say, but it is true, and this, of course, is part and parcel to all socialized medicine. You've got to cut costs somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly right, and that's the 800-pound gorilla that nobody wants to talk about. Good friends of ours, they're eye doctors here in Minnesota, and she, the wife, originally was from Canada. Her brother is a doctor in Toronto, and he says it's not a matter of if our system, the healthcare system, is going to collapse. It's a matter of when. And he just absolutely hates practicing under that under the system. And it's unsustainable. The European system is unsustainable. They've been able to keep it going a little bit longer than probably they would normally be able to, with the fact that
they don't spend any money on defense. It's all going to the health care.
That was my point. When you subsidize, when your national defense is subsidized, you can spend money for a period of time on social programs. But even with that, the piper is going to have to be paid here pretty soon in Europe. I would say within, demographically and with what they're spending, a generation from now, Europe will not be what we know it as today.
And it wasn't what we knew 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's incrementalism, and that is the problem with the framework that is being negotiated. Arms are being twisted to go through here in the United States right now. We can't possibly picture what it's going to be like, 10 or 20 or 30 years from now, though I think you and I kind of are giving people the idea. So did you see death panels in Germany? I mean, that's just a way to kind of communicate with people. And, of course, I'm quoting Sarah Palin, who we, by the way, don't endorse here. But I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? Death panels, I mean, they're not wearing, big Grim Reapers on their T-shirts or big skull hats or something, but they do decide, and Obama has already talked about these panels, they do decide who gets saved and who doesn't. I mean, the government gets to choose between life and death. We've already seen it in this country with things like Terry Schiavo.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing that you bring up that point. In Germany, just because of their history and any association of that, you instantaneously are compared to a Nazi, and rightfully so, because that's what the Nazis. No, I'm saying that if you had any sort of panel like that in in Germany. So that did not exist in Germany, and that was a product more of their very dark history. But all you have to do is look north of the border. And, a prime example of this happened about 6 weeks ago in Ontario, where there was a woman who had a 14-week premature baby. There was no room in the neonatal intensive care unit in Hamilton, Ontario. They tried to get her in somewhere in Toronto, major metropolitan area. There was no room. Finally, they had to send the mother and the baby across the border to Buffalo, New York. And so it's not just end-of-life issues, it's beginning-of-life issues as well.
We've read the quotes and the comments from Ezekiel, as we call him, Ezekiel Manuel, Rum Manuel's brother, who is one of the prime advisors on the whole healthcare scheme in the United States of America. And he basically said, he just came out and said, some people are going to live, some are going to die. We can't afford to pay for everybody. And then we've got this science advisor under Obama. I mean, what are we supposed to think? I don't know if you've heard about Mr. Holdren, John P. Holdren. An editorial just came out of the Washington Times today. Obama's mad science advisor, compulsory abortion and sterilization aren't youthful indiscretions. In other words, this came up off of his past work, and he was appointed as the science czar. And now the Washington Times has done an exhaustive expose, apparently, saying that he hasn't forsaken these thoughts. We've got several people in Obama's administration who look, for the most part, to be eugenicists. What are we supposed to think?
Well, people need to hear this and see this, but, we shouldn't be surprised because if you adhere to a very far left mentality, it basically adheres to the fact that the government or a group of elites knows best and therefore should decide for you. And this is just, an extrapolation of that. But, because healthcare has become such a hot, button issue, people are starting to pay some more attention. Stories like this are coming out and people are taking notice. 6 months ago, a year ago, people would have just said, wow, he's really, and now the people around him aren't that radical. They're not that crazy, but when you actually start seeing things happen, people are taking notice, and that's a good thing.